The mouths of the critics of a dying elder are shut even before he dies. Welcome to another episode. And here we're going to section 3 of chapter 33 of the Holy Quran. Chapter 33 being Surah Al-Ahzab, the confederates, the people that came, the groups that came together to fight Islam. Of course, they didn't beat Islam, otherwise Islam wouldn't be there. Now we have pockets of individuals. What can they do? Hmm? They're only swimming against the tide. Anyway, let's go. وقد كان لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة. Hmm? We have indeed in the messenger of God an excellent exemplar, uswatun, hasanatun, mm, uh, liman kana, liman kana yurju Allah, liman kana yurju Allah wa yawmil akhirati. Mm. Uh, for him who hopes yurju, for him who hopes Yerju, not Yerju, for him who hopes Yerju in God and the final day, Yom al Ahirati. وذكر الله كثيرا وذكر الله not Allah وذكر الله كثيرا and who remember God much so the remembrance of God is very, very, very important as far as God himself is concerned. He has asked us to remember him all of the time mm, uh, for a successful life. The note to read, we have two notes to read. Oh my God. I don't know if my old specs will work. We have two notes to read. Note 36, note 3694 and 3695. I want to check if we did 3693. Yes, we did. Yes. So 3694 is against hope. Yarju Allah. Hope of God, meeting God and final day. 3694. We now have the psychology of the believers, comma, dash, God-fearing men, comma, God-fearing men, comma, God-fearing hyphenated, mm, led by pattern of men, led by that pattern of men and of leaders, comma, Muhammad al-Mustafa. Let me take it again. We now have the psychology of the believers, comma, dash, God-fearing men, comma, led by that pattern of men and of leaders, comma, Muhammad al-Mustafa. Let's go to the second note, 3695. 3695. Remembrance of God. Those who remember God much. 3695. We are asked to compare chapter 27, sign 227. I think that's anomaly. Chapter sign 227. We especially, see especially the last clause of that verse in note. See especially the last clause of that verse in a Meccan surah, mm, which was simply fulfilled in Medina, in a Meccan surah, which was which was amply not, pardon me, led by that. No, no, no. Let me take it again. Compare chapter 26, not 27, rather 26, and Nablo. Compare chapter 26, Psalm 227. See especially the last clause of the verse in a Meccan surah, which was amply fulfilled in Medina. Let's go to the next sign, which is sign uh, 22. That was sign 21 we read. Sign 22 now. وَلَمَّا فلما رأى المؤمنون الأحزاب قالوا هذا ما وعدنا الله. Oh, Allahu Akbar. Mhm. When the believers saw the Confederate forces, they said, that is what God and his messenger had promised us. ما وعد الله ورسوله هذا ما وعد الله ورسوله. That is what God and his messenger promises. God and messenger promised them that the Confederates and their forces will be coming. What a wonderful promise. So promise is not always of good or direct good. Hmm? Promise is not always of direct good, because the coming of the Confederates is good in this sense because they are going to get victory. So they say this is what God and his messenger promised us. وصدق الله ورسوله وصدق الله ورسوله. Uh, and God and his messenger told us what was true, and God and his messenger told us what is good. وصدق الله ورسوله. Uh, وما زادهم إلا إيمانا تسليما. وما زاده إلا إيمانا تسليما. And it only added to their faith and their zeal in obedience. They knew of their coming already. So, and they knew that they were going to conquer. But the Confederates never knew. So many of them from so many groups, they never knew. But the believers knew it, that they were going to conquer them. So when they saw them, their zeal to fight increased, their faith increased. Let's go to the note. 3696. 3696. The promise of God and the messenger, 3696. This is in contrast to what the hypocrites said in verse 12 above. Mm. This is in contrast to what the hypocrites said in verse 12 above. Mm. The divine promise of help and success is contingent upon our striving, is contingent upon our striving and faith. Full stop. Nothing comes to the poltroon. Nothing comes to the poltroon and the skeptical to the poltroon and the skeptical idler. Nothing comes to the poltroon and the skeptical idler. Full stop. Dangers and difficulties and conflict with evil are fourfold. Dangers and difficulties and conflicts with evil are foretold us, and we we must meet them with fortitude and courage. We must meet them with fortitude and courage. We must meet them with fortitude and courage. full stop. And that's note 3696 to sign 32. Let's go to the next sign, which is sign 30, 23 rather, to sign 22. That's note 3696 to sign 22. Let's go to sign 23 with another note. من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما أحدوا الله عليه. من المؤمنون رجالا صدقوا ما أحدوا الله عليه. Among the believers are men who have been true to their covenant with God. Ma, ah, ma ahadu, not ahadu, ma ahadu Allah alayhi. Ma ahadu Allah alayhi. Their covenant with God. فمنهم من كَدَى نهبه ومنهم من كَدَى نهبه. Of them, some have died. Man kada nabahu. Some have died. ومنهم من ين ومنهم من ينتظر ومنهم من ينتظر. Some have died, and some still, in brackets, some still wait to what? To die. Oh my God. So while they were hopeful, expectant, they still knew that there will be deaths. They still knew that it's a war, and at least there may be some deaths. Mm. And so some died, and some were waiting to die, prepared to fight in the cause of God. Okay. ومنهم من ينتظر وما وما بدلوا تبديلا. But they have never changed their determination in the least. They have never changed in the least because their determination is in brackets. So you see, some died, and some, even though they were waiting to die, their determination never faltered. Hmm? They must kill before they die. It's the common saying in Arabic, "Qatil hatta tuktila," kill until you are killed. Hmm? Oh. Okay. The note to read is 3697. 3697. In the fight, oh, it doesn't help me. In the fight for truth, where and are in brackets. Uh, in the fight for truth, where many who sacrificed their who, who, sacri- who sacrificed their all, dash, resources, knowledge, influence, life itself, dash, in the cause, and never wavered, full stop. If they won, if they won the crown of martyrdom, they were blessed. If they won the crown of martyrdom, they were blessed. Full stop. Such a one was Sa'ad ibn Mu'az. Such a one was Sa'ad ibn Mu'az. Such a one was Sa'ad ibn Mu'az, the chief, the chief of the Aus tribe, the chief of the Aus tribe, mm, comma, the intrepid, the intrepid standard, the intrepid standard bearer of Islam. Standard bearer is hyphenated. The intrepid standard bearer of Islam, who died of a wound he had received in the Battle of the Trench. Colon. No, full stop. Other heroes fought valiantly and lived, comma, always ready, always ready to lay down their lives. Full stop. Both classes were staunch, colon. They never changed or wavered. La badulu tabdilan. They never changed in the list. Mm. Yeah, they never changed or wavered. In fact, it's a very difficult thing. You see war coming. You see that your group is going to win. But you also see that you can die and you are ready to die just for others to live. And that is what we call martyrdom. Oh my God. And that's no 3697 to sign 23. Let's go to sign 24. Hmm? ليجزي الله الصادقين بصدقهم ويجزي الله الصادقين بصدقهم ويعذب المنافقين إن شاء أو يتوب عليهم, that God may reward the men of truth for their truth, لصدقهم, and punish ويعذب ويعذب المنافقين, and punish the hypocrites, if that be his will, if that be God's will. Hmm? Aw, or turn to them in mercy. Aw yataba alayhim. Aw yataba ilayhim, or turn to them in mercy. Inna allaha kana, inna allaha kana gafuran rahiman. Inna allaha kana gafuran rahiman. Or turn to them in mercy. For God is forgiving, most merciful. So you see, apparently here, because of their effort in fighting, they may be turned to by God with His mercy, with God's mercy. They were fighting, and at least they fought. Some died in martyrdom, some didn't, but they didn't fight as strongly as the others. Maybe it's a little bit of cowardice, but a little bit of cowardice. But still, God says He will turn to them in mercy, is possible. He will admit those who fought gallantly in His garden, and those who didn't, but at least fought. He, God, does what He wants. He can turn to them in mercy by His grace. All right. 3698 is the sign. Is the sign. 3698. 3698. Before God's mercy, there is always room for repentance and forgiveness. Yes, that's what we are just on. That's what we are on. There is always repentance and forgiveness, even after treason and crime. Even after treason and crime. But the forgiveness will be according to God's will and plan, which will judge the patient's sincerity and capacity for good to the nicest degree in his favor, to the nicest degree in his favor, in the person's favor. Compare also 33:17. We've gone past it, so viewers, we can go back at your leisure time. Leisure time. At your leisure time. Pardon me. Let's go to the next sign, which is sign 25, which is sign 25. ورد الله allazina kafaru begazihim. And God turned back to the unbelievers for their fury, for their fury, mm, or for all their fury. All is in brackets. Mm. So, and God turned back the unbelievers for their fury. Mm. Uh, Kafaru begazihim for their fury. Lam yanalu khayran. Lam yanalu, lam yanalu khayran. For their fury, uh, no advantage did they gain. Lam yanalu khayran. And no advantage did they gain. No advantage did they gain. Wakafa Allahu al-mu'minina al-kitala. Wakafa Allahu al-mu'minina al-kitala. And God is no, and enough kafa and enough is God for the believers in their fight. Wakafa Allahu al-mu'mina al-kitala in their fight. Wakana wakana Allahu wakana Allahu kawiyan azizan. Wakana Allahu kawiyan azizan. And God is full of strength, kawiyan, and exalted in men, in strength, exalted in and exalted in strength, azizan. The note to read is 3699. 3699. In spite of the mighty preparations and the great forces which the Makkans, in concert with the Central Arabian Bedouins, the discontented Jews, and the treacherous hypocrites brought to the siege of Medina, all their plans were frustrated by the grace of God. All their plans were frustrated, full stop. Their fury availed them nothing. Their fury availed them nothing. Gezehim, Gezehim, their fury availed them nothing. Full stop. They departed in hot haste. In hot haste. They departed in hot haste. I'm laughing here. It's not a laughing matter. It's just the sentence that is making me laugh. They departed in hot haste. No, hot haste is what I'm laughing at. Full stop. This was their last and dying effort. Full stop. The initiative thereafter lay with the forces of Islam. The initiative thereafter lay with the forces of Islam. And that's note 3699 to sign 25. We have a second note, which is 3700. 3700. Being as God of strength, exalted in power, Kawiyun, Azizun. That's the last verse. 3711. For the meaning of Aziz, see note 2818 to chapter 22, sign 40. And that's all. Let's go to the next sign, which is 26. وَأَنزَلَ الَّذِينَ زَاهَرُوهُمْ وَأَنزَلَ الَّذِينَ زَاهَرُوهُمْ من أهل الكتاب من سياسهم. And those of the people of the book Ahl al-Kitab who aided them Zaharuhum, who aided them. Dash, God did take them down from their strongholds. Mm? Means from their stronghold. Mm? وكذب وكذب في قلوبهم الرعب وكذف في قلوبهم الرعب, from their strongholds, and aruba, cast terror aruba into their hearts, fi bihim, into their hearts, mm, so that some easily and some and some you made captives, so that it's in brackets, in their hearts. Some ye sleep without the so that, without the bracketed so that. Some ye sleep, and some ye made captives. Farikan taktuluna wa taksiruna farikan. Taktuluna, killed. Taksiruna, took captives. And that is sign 26. The notes to it are, I think, four: 3701, 3702, 3703, and 3704. 01 is against people of the book. 01, 3701, people of the book. The reference is to the Jewish tribe of the Banu Qurayza. I spelled Qurayza before. So people of the book always refers to the Jews. Full stop. They counted among the citizens of Medina. No, yeah, they counted among the citizens of Medina, and were bound by solemn engagements to help in the defense of the city. But on the occasion of siege, but on the occasion of Confederate siege by the Quraysh and their allies, they intrigued with the enemies and treacherously aided them. Jews, these are Jews. They intrigued with the enemies and treacherously aided the enemies. And that is what we have there. Uh, Zaharuhum, aided the enemies, Zaharuhum, aided them, full stop. Immediately after the siege, they intrigued, no, they, immediately after the siege was, oh my God, I miss my lines a lot. I don't know. Immediately after the siege was passed, and the Confederates had fled hot haste again. Eh? So imagine so many groups coming to fight Islam, few believers. Mm. Uh, Immediately after the siege was raised, and the Confederates had fled in hot haste, the Prophet turned his attention to those treacherous friends. Friends is in double inverted commas. To those treacherous friends who had betrayed the city in the hour of danger. Next sign 3702. 3702. Strongholds. Siyasihim. Siyasihim, strongholds. The Banu Qurayza, in brackets, see last note, were filled with terror and dismay. And when Medina was free from the Quraysh danger, when Medina was freed from the Quraysh danger, let me take it again. The Banu Qurayza were filled with terror and dismay. when Medina was free from the Quraysh danger. They shut themselves up in their castles. About three or four, oh my God, about 3 or 4 miles to the east, into brackets, or northeast, to the east or northeast of Medina, and sustained a siege of 25 days, after which they surrendered, stipulating that they would abide by the decision of their fate, at the hands of Sa'ad bin Mu'az, at the hands of Sa'ad bin Mu'az, chief of the Aus tribe, chief of the Aus tribe. Aus is spelled capital AUS, chief of the Aus tribe, with which they had been in alliance, Pardon me, viewers. Sometimes my eye problem comes, increases, sometimes it goes down. All right. And that's 3702, second note to sign 26. Let's go to the third note, which is 3703. 3703. Sa'ad applied, Sa'ad applied to them the Jews, sorry, Sa'ad applied to them the Jewish law of the Old Testament, not as strictly as the case warranted, full stop. In Deuteronomy 20, verses 10 to 18, the treatment of a city which is very far off from thee, and all this is in double inverted commas, which is very far off from thee, is prescribed to be comparatively more lenient than the treatment of a city of those people, which the Lord thy God does give, which the Lord thy God, which the Lord thy God does give, which the Lord does thy God does give thee for an inheritance. And this in inverted commas, it ends with inheritance, and it starts with of, of those people. Then it ends with inheritance. That's the double inverted commas. I.e., oh my God, I don't know whether to use the specs or not to. Okay. Uh, i.e., which is near enough to corrupt the religion of the Jewish people. Full stop. Viewers, my knees are down for you. You can see how red my eyes are. Okay, full stop. The punishment for this is total annihilation. Sorry, the punishment for this is total annihilation, semicolon. Thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth. And a quotation from the Bible again, Deuteronomy 22:16, in brackets, full stop. The more lenient treatment the far off cities is described in the next note. The more lenient treatment for the far off hyphenated cities is described in the next note. Full stop. According to the Jewish standard, then, the Banu Qurayza deserved total extermination dash of men, women, and children. Full stop. They were in the territory of Medina itself, and further, they had broken their engagements and helped the enemy. These are the Jews, Bani Kuriza. Mm. And that's the third note to sign 26. Let's go to the fourth note, which is 3704. Mm. Some ye made captives. Mm. Some ye made captives. And that is Tasiruna, Tasiruna, Tasiruna. Some you made captives, Tasiruna. 3704. Sahad, Saad bin Muaz, Saad, but bin Muaz is not there. Saad adjudged them their milder treatment of the far off, hyphenated and in double inverted commas. Mm. So Saad adjudged them the milder treatment of the far off cities, which is thus described in the Jewish law, semicolon. Then we have double inverted commas coming. Thou shalt smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword, semicolon. But the women and the little ones and the cattle and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shalt thou take unto thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies. Thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Quotation is there. We have quotation there. And this is Deuteronomy 20, verses 13 to 14, brackets closed. The men of the Kureza were slain, semicolon, colon. The women were sold as captives of war, and their lands and properties were divided among the Muhajirs. Their lands and properties were divided among the Muhajirs. And that's the fourth and last note to sign 26. Let's go to sign 27, which happens to be the last sign of section 3. وأورثناكم وأورثناهم أرضهم وديارهم وأموالهم وأرضا لم وأرضا لم تطئوها وأرضا لم تطئوها. And we made you heirs, أورثناكم, أورثناهم, and we made you heirs of their lands, أرضهم, their houses, ديارهم, their goods, أموالهم, their goods, أموالهم, and of land which ye had not frequented before, of land which ye have not frequented before. Wal arda lam yata'uha, wal arda lam yata'uha, which you have not frequented before. وكان الله على كل شيء قديرا وكان الله على كل شيء قديرا, and God has power over all things. The note to read is 3705. 3705. It looks quite lengthy. We shall do it all the same. This part of the surah is considered a prophecy. Full stop. It may refer to conquest. It may refer to the conquest of Khaybar. Khaybar is spelled capital KH underline together. Capital KH underline. Then AIBAR. Full stop. Khaybar is a harat or volcanic tract. Heba is a harat or volcanic tract, well watered with many springs, issuing from the Baltic rocks, full stop. It has a good irrigation system and produces good harvests of grain and dates in its wet valleys, WET, in its wet valleys, while in its, uh, I've made my case west, in its west valleys, while the outstrip, its west valleys, where can I get it? Mhm. While the outcrop of the rocks in the high ground affords sites, sites for numerous fortresses, full stop. In the Holy Prophet's time, there were Jewish colonies settled here, but they were a source of constant trouble, especially after siege of Medina. The Jews have always been a problem, mm, especially after siege of Medina. Full stop. It became a nest. It became a nest. EST. It became a nest of all the hostile Jewish elements expelled for their treachery from elsewhere. Expelled, expelled from their treachery from elsewhere. Full stop. Its capital, comma, Haibar, is about 90 miles due north of Medina. Its inhabitants offered some resistance, and Ali Hadrat Ali and Hadrat Ali, though he had just risen from a bed of illness, performed performed prodigies performed prodigies of valor. Full stop. After its surrender, a land settlement was made, which restrained restrained the cultivators of the soil on the land, but brought them under control so that no further focus of active hostility should remain near Medina. Full stop. The terms of the settlement will be found in Waqidi. The terms of the settlement will be found in Waqidi. Waqidi is spelled capital W, A lengthened, QIDI. And that's note 3705 to sign 27, the last sign of section 4 of chapter 33 of the Holy Quran. My news are down, viewers. My eye problem comes from time to time, and there's nothing I can do about it because no cash. All right, thank you very much. Bye bye. May God be with you all.